27 years active duty Army, retired First Sergeant Reginald Adams. Are you ready?
Ready.
Urban Christian Veterans provides a safe place for Christian veterans of color to discuss the challenges you face in your daily lives. Being a person of color has its challenges. Being a Christian has its challenges. Being a veteran has its challenges. All of those factors being combined makes for a unique and sometimes difficult life experience that is seldom talked about in public forums. Thank you for tuning in to the Urban Christian Veterans Podcast. Here's your host, D. Allen Rose.
Thank you, Aaron, for that wonderful introduction. This is D. Allen Rose, and you are listening to the Urban Christian Veterans Podcast. Okay, man, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I really appreciate it, man. I know you're a busy man, being all retired and whatnot. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. Anything for you, bro. Anything for you.
Man, I appreciate that. Listen, I think we go back, 30 some odd years?
Easily, yes, definitely.
So, technically, I have known you more than half my life, man. That's wild.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So,
yeah,
we go back 30 some odd years. I think you met back in, 90, 89,
yes.
90, something like that.
Yep, definitely. End of 89, beginning of 90, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So, we go way back, man. So, that said, if you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Real simple. Country boy, raised in a little town, Dade City, Florida, 40 minutes north of Tampa. Like, we had 3 stoplights, that small.
Oh, wow.
My mom got remarried, moved to Tampa. So, of course, I told everybody I was from Tampa. But
Okay.
as a little country boy, moved to the big city. From Tampa, I joined after I graduated high school, joined the military. That's where we met, actually, Fort Benning, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, everything took off like a rocket ship. Had no intentions on really joining the military. I really didn't. I would have bet money that I wasn't going to join the military. The recruiter wore me down. I just went in there just to see.
Right.
And they got me. That's all I can say.
They got you. They got us both.
Definitely. 27 years flew by. Actually, it really, really did. Flew by the grace of God. I got out of there, all my fingers and toes, I've been through everything. Got the t-shirt and the hat, jumped out of airplanes. Loved that part. That was awesome. Met some good people, and still in communication with those few rare folks. Got closer to God, definitely, because war will do that.
Right on.
But I stayed. That's the best part about it. I stayed close to God.
Right on.
So
right on.
But pretty much, man, that was it. Just doing it.
I tell you, man. I think back when we used to hang out back in the day, 30 some years ago. I can relate to the whole. I can't see myself doing this. And one thing I will say about you, brother, is that even from back then, I could always tell there was something about you, man. You always had that. First of all, the proof is in the pudding. You made First Sergeant.
Right.
That's the proof right there. I told you, off camera that I would have never doubted you. Right now, given that back then, how could I put it? Things were a little wild.
Ooh.
Right. I'll put it that way. Things were a little wild.
That's a good phrase right there. We're gonna leave it right. We're gonna leave it right there too.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it there. But even in all the wildness, what I can truly say about you, brother, is that the wild individuals that we were around, of all of the wild individuals that we were around, and as I say that, you probably can picture some faces, but and I won't bring up any names, but given all the wild individuals that we were around, you always stood out to me as a little different. And I think that is why I gravitated towards you.
Yeah.
A little different, able to navigate the wild waters and still keep yourself on point. So I give it up to you, brother. You really, you proved it. Became a First Sergeant.
I tell everybody that I'm a white whale.
Right on.
Or,
Yeah.
because I have never drank and I have never smoked.
Right.
Never.
Right.
And I'm not a person who used to do it and stopped. I never
Right.
have. And people
Right.
can't believe that. It was like, how you go through the military? I said, it just never interested me. I had some traumatic experiences that made me not smoke and not drink.
Right.
That's a story. Those are some stories we can and can't. Don't have to get
Right.
into. But
it's on you.
My mom smoked my entire childhood.
Okay.
And she used to leave, like smokers do, they leave the cigarette on the sink with the ashes facing in. And she was on the porch talking to my grandmother, and she was like, hey, go in there and give me my cigarette. Well, that was around the time those the bubblegum cigarettes came out with the powder.
Oh, yeah.
And you just blow and the smoke come out, right? I thought that was so cool. So when my mom asked me to go get the cigarette, I went and got the cigarette, brought it to her, but I thought in my adolescent stupid mind that I'm going to take a drag of her cigarette, keep it in my jaws, and when I handed her cigarette, I would blow the smoke out and she would think it was as cool as I thought it was going to be. Needless to say, that's the day I found out that my mom was a ninja.
Right.
Because when I handed her that cigarette, she grabbed it with her right hand, saw the smoke over her right shoulder. She transitioned that cigarette to the left hand and gave me the most severest backhand to my lips. That was so flawless. She was like, woo, woo, bow. I slid across that porch, and that was it, brother. I never touched another cigarette. And I was like, that was it.
Wow.
That did it for me. That did it for me. Never touched another. Don't even like the smell. Because that's trauma. That's traumatic to me. Wow. My lips still, they hurting right now. I'm telling you. But yeah, man, we were so wild. It was wild back in the day, and I was able to withstand. And then I was really, truly, I'm one of the church kids. I was raised in the Church of God in Christ. My grandmother was a trustee. Was in there lighting the kerosene heater when it's cold, and let everybody else come into the warm church. And I was shaking like a stripper in there freezing. But grew up in the church, so it definitely followed me.
That's awesome.
The alcohol was the same way. I did something stupid, drunk some hot beer, thinking I'm big. Because my cousins, we were the same age. I was like 10. Their mother used to allow them to take a sip of their drink. Everybody in the South, everybody had one of those aunts. Let their head take a sip, get out of here. I thought it was cool. Put a hot beer on the sink about 10 in the morning. About 4 in the afternoon, I came back. I'm looking in the mirror like, man, I'm a man. I pop this hot Budweiser, Florida heat. Hot Budweiser. It's been there since 10 in the morning. So I'll give you a visual. I took a swig, the most god-awfulest tastingest thing I've ever tasted in my life. I spit it all in the sink, poured it all out. It was a wrap. I was like, never, that's it. I don't even, every time I smell beer, I was like, But yeah, but that was it. But that's why I always stood out, because I was guilty by association. So people thought I was out there, but just hanging out. And I was a designated driver, so everybody could be buck wild, and I was cool.
Right.
That's
it. Man, I can relate, because I'm the same way. Never smoke, never drink.
That's exactly why we gravitated to each other.
There you go. And what's funny is, to this day, man, I tell people that I was in the military. Don't smoke, don't drink, never have. And I tell them some of the places I've been. How'd you go to Korea and not,
exactly.
Exactly. How'd you go to Germany and not, like you, I had some early childhood trauma that made me leave it alone, but we're not going to get into that today.
There you go.
Maybe another day. Another day.
Right.
Okay, that's awesome. And by the way, you mentioned Tampa. My son is at MacDill right now.
Okay.
Yeah, Air Force. So
smart. He's a smart young man.
Yeah, he did the thing I didn't. he went to the Air Force, but right on. I tell him he's smart, but they soft. But anyway, the fact that you couldn't have saw yourself joining, and I know you said that you did just because to see how it was, but something must have made you stay. Like, what was the reasoning behind
child support? That'll do it every time. Child support. Yes, sir.
Child support?
Yes, sir. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it 100. I had that child support hit, and I was like, I was going to get out like everybody, because most of our buddies did the first 4 and got out.
Right.
And majority of everybody moved to Atlanta, and which majority of everybody's still over there too. So I was going to do it too. I had to seriously sit down with myself and was like, listen, you don't have a college degree. You don't have any discernible skills. This got to be it for right now, because this is what was paying the child support. I couldn't even imagine getting out as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old without a college degree, trying to go get a job and still had to pay that amount of child support. So that was it. I had no other reason. I had a roof over my head, food, and the child support was getting paid. And in the midst of that, I got married a few times, had more kids and stuff like that. And then I drank the Kool-Aid somewhere along year 13. I just went on ahead and was like, you know what? This is what you're going to be doing. So I buckled down and I maintained the same MOS. A lot of us reclassed to easier promotable MOSs, but I maintained. I was a generator guy. So I stayed a generator, probably the last first sergeant generator mechanic anybody will ever see.
Okay.
Because our promotions was just that bad. But I fought, prayed. I got the right job. And man, it just kept building and building and building. And I was frustrated, very frustrated, because I would do the job of the rank above me, but I wasn't getting paid.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, I'm doing this job. I'm not getting paid for it. So I had at year, I don't know, 19, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. Year 19, I had the conversation with my then ex, and I was like, hey, I'm starting to feel unappreciated. I'm meeting all the rungs on my promotional ladder, and I'm still not getting promoted. So that was year 19. At that time, you were indefinite after 16. Year 16, you become indefinite. So it's up to the Army to put you out. So, so then after that conversation with her, it clicked. And I was like, oh, okay, God. So if this is how it's going to be, I got to do the job first and then get promoted. Okay. So when I gave in to that, everything just taking off, because I was the acting first sergeant about 8 times. Different. And, the first sergeant had to go on leave, or the first sergeant had to go to a conference, or he was doing something else. And hey, man, can you sit in? Hey, man, can you sit in? Hey, man, can you sit in? Right. So I was like, okay, I'm an E7. And I'm like, okay. Well, what that did was it allowed me to make all the mistakes and the blunders and the bumps and the bruises.
Right.
And I wasn't getting penalized for it. They were kind of treating me like the little brother. Say, okay, man, the next time this happens, do this. The next time that happens, do that. Well, doing that enough times, I learned how to be a first sergeant.
There you go.
When I actually pinned on the diamond, I was golden. I'm in HHC, 18th Airborne Corps, Fort Bragg, one of the largest corps in the Army. I had no idea the magnitude of 18th Airborne Corps until I was up there. So the post commander for Fort Bragg, I was his first sergeant. The post sergeant major for Fort Bragg, North Carolina, I was his first sergeant.
There you go.
And I'm like, wow. And then later in that journey, Sergeant Major pulled me to the side and was like, this is a senior first sergeant position. You do know that, right? And I was like, no, I had no idea. They said because when the sergeant major is out, the HHC first sergeant sits in for him. Well, they didn't let me do that. I was too green. They just think they took the guy who should have been the HAC first sergeant, and I was cool with it. And he kind of stepped in when the first sergeant the sergeant major had to leave. But they all told me, they was like, man, we commend you on the job that you were doing, because basically I was a green first sergeant, And I was like, but God, when I accepted that this was what God had for me to do, I have to do the job first and then get promoted to it, get the money basically. Right. When I accepted that, my stress level went down. I started having fun. Instead of worrying about money, all my peers, of course, they had been first sergeant majors years ago before me. And I'm watching all of them just rise through the ranks. What God did was, he's like, just hold on, relax. And I did. So when I got pinned first sergeant, because I had been in so long, the pay gap between me and them was ridiculous. I made way more money than them at the rank when they had been a first sergeant all them years or whatever. So full circle, it came back around, and my pay was gigantic compared to my peers. And they were like, whoa. So I was balling. That's what I was going to say.
Well, it's funny, man, because I've always heard this saying that says, do more than what you get paid for. And eventually you will get paid for more than what you do.
That is the truth. I need to write that down. I need to write that down.
No, you lived it.
Yeah,
you lived it, right?
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the thing is, we've progressed, and throughout my career, I've noticed that to be true as well. And it's counterintuitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why should I do this job and you're not paying me for it? I don't get paid enough for it, blah, 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 whatever. But it works. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And again, I would have never doubted it. You always had that potential. So if you had it to do over again, you had a chance to just rewind and do it again, would you?
I would. I would. 2 reasons. Well, no, the number one thing is I retired at 46.
Okay.
So I retired at 46, and then I was able to be retired. I didn't do anything right. I didn't save. I didn't do the military's version of the 401. I didn't do anything right.
Okay.
So I was in all the most horrible places, bombs bursting in air, all of that.
Right.
All of that. And through that, I maintained my faith. And which actually got me through that, because that's how God works. He wants to break you down to the lowest level to where nobody but him gets the credit for your come up. You can't blame yourself. I mean, you can't pride yourself. You can't say, oh, did this guy help me? He took me down to the lowest level, literally bombs bursting in air and around you, seeing people get killed and knowing people who got killed and shooting folks and stuff. And nobody can help you. Mama can't help you. Daddy can't get you. Nobody can't be on the phone and say, you can leave Afghanistan now, Right. And when I was down like that and in the dirt, and I literally, that's my favorite Bible verse. I literally was walking in the valley of the shadow. And some people, everybody has their own valley. Got it. You have your own valley, but when you are in a valley and if the shadow of death is over you, you get real close to God. So
right.
That's my favorite Bible verse, man. Because I lived it, like you said. But when you're down like that and you only can look up, and I maintained, I didn't play around with God. I don't play with God. I maintained my faith, got stronger, and that's how I made it out. So I credit the military and war. Nobody probably ever said this, but I credit all the bad stuff I went through with giving me a stronger relationship with God. I really do. I really do. Because if nothing focuses you more than a bomb coming in, a mortar round coming in, you're laser focused.
Right.
And you're either you're gonna pray to God, Allah, you're gonna pray to somebody, Buddha, whoever. Hey, let me hit them all up and see which one called me. But yeah, I'm a Christian.
Right.
I've seen it all. I've seen guys. We had guys who converted to Islam over there. When we were in Saudi, Saudi Arabia together, them guys. A couple of them cats converted to Islam, thinking that was thinking it's gonna help them. I don't know, but yeah, man, that was it. There's 2 things. I retired, and I still have friends now. I gotta wait to call them, and then when I do call them, they're like, "Hey, bro, you're retired. We're not retired." I'm like, "Oh yeah, my bad, my bad."
So let me ask you this, man, and I know that this is in line with what you just said. My question is this, man, and you would be helping me a lot because I'm in seminary and I'm working on a doctorate.
Okay.
And the topic of my paper that I have to write at the end of this thing is going to be centered around why combat has a tendency to either strengthen a veteran's faith or make them question it. So what is your take on that? I know I don't want to catch you off guard, but I'm just curious about that since you spoke on that.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good topic. And for someone who has not had a foundation in the church, I can understand why it would pull them further away. But everyone I know who had the foundation, like I said, it laser focuses you, because in states we have all of these distractions. But when everything's a distraction. Got TV, got other people, driving, some places to go, people, what stuff to do. But when you're in combat and all those distractions are taken away from you, it's just you. And sometimes it's just you just listening to your own thoughts. And you'll have the question, you'll have a Job question, is And Jesus even questioned, why, can you take this cup from me? Job was like, what did I do to deserve all this? But not my will, but your will. So your foundation is very important that's the key, the foundation. Now for the ones who, and that your foundation, because you are allowing your light to shine, and you were in the same foxhole, figuratively, as a non-believer, when he sees your light shining and you praising God and giving him thanks for the little things, he like, hey, we're in the same foxhole, and this guy is praising God, and I'm over here questioning God. Let me find out about this God thing. Let me, and I've had people question that. Hey, how can your faith be so strong? And because I'm looking at where he brought me from. And he said, oh, we got you in war. Yeah, but we're not dead yet.
Right on.
We both know somebody. I'm talking to this guy. We both know somebody who was here yesterday, and he ain't here no more. So that's something to be thankful for. That's something to praise God for. So, our church grew tremendously, and every deployment except the first one. I did not go to church for the first Gulf War because I knew better than to play with God.
Right.
I don't know if you remember this, but we had a church on our compound, and it was full. It was standing room only. They were standing out the door when the Scud missiles was falling. But when it was said that we had won and it was over, that chaplain assistant every Sunday after that was the only one in there sweeping dust off the floor. I used to walk by that church on Sunday, the little space, and see him in there sweeping the dust on Sunday. But during the bombs falling, people were standing, it was coming on our compound from other compounds because we had the closest church. But every deployment after that, oh yeah, I was the first one in there. I was in there, and I played the drums, so I was always a drummer and with that choir and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it, man. It laser focuses you when your foundation is in God, and by you being laser focused, you shine a little brighter. And that person that don't know God or who is questioning God, they have to come up and ask you, "Hey man, what's going on? Hey man, how are you this way?" And I have been this way my entire life. So people say, "Oh man, you need to be a comedian." I think, no, I couldn't. No, I don't think I'm funny. I really don't. I be serious, and people be laughing. I'm like, that's not funny. Not funny to me. But it's serious. Like my mom bust me in my mouth. That wasn't funny to me. Apparently, that's a funny story, but it wasn't funny to me, not at the time. But yeah,
hilarious. Man. It's hilarious.
I'm just saying. But yeah, that's what it is. You laser focus. It focuses you because he takes all the distractions away. So now you have life through him, death through bombs. Them your only two choices.
Right.
I'm gonna believe. I had a mortar round. I was in a building and laying down, and I heard the mortar round
right
go over my head and land 30, 40 yards away, and it was a dud. And I was in the special forces, and every major base, when you deploy, there's always a special forces compound inside the big base. So I'm in the special forces compound chilling. That thing hit. It was a dud. We all went over there and looked. We was like, oh man, I mean, it's literally sticking in the ground like the coyote, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner,
right?
Sticking in the ground, and it's a dud. I'm like, whew, that's God. Yeah,
right.
That's God right there. And I've been able to recognize him and hear his voice more, and that's it. That'll help. That's definitely, you got a good paper. You write a good paper. That's good paper.
Well, it's first. Thank you for sharing. Let me just add this on top, or ask this on top. Is it me, or is it that when you have a near-death experience, I'm talking about the whole life flash before your eyes experience, the one that I don't even have to go into detail about because you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is it me, or does everyone who go through that have a tendency to afterwards just be not so afraid of stuff? Like I'm numb, and I'll just say that there are some who have expressed concern to me because there are situations that I found myself in where everyone is like, you ought to be afraid, and I just am not. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just not there.
What that is, and I figured this out, is our faith is stronger than our fear.
Right on.
So I jumped out of airplanes. People are like, oh my God, I can't even jump off a chair. It's not scary. It's really not. when you've had one of those, I had a couple. See,
Right.
the first one, boom, but I've had a couple. When you come through that and your faith gets stronger, and I'm like, man, come on. First of all, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I believe that. I live that. Secondly, you had a near death, and I can only equate it to that was God protecting us. So when you know in your bones that God is going to protect you, I'm just not. I've had the same conversation with people that say, man, you're not scared of this? I'm not scared of snakes. You can't come up behind me and say boo, and I get scared. No, bruh, really?
Right.
And then when you know that you know that you know where you going when you die, come on.
Right on.
You know that you always hear that. I tell people when you go to church, you always hear they saying when they do the call to worship, do you know that you know that you know? Yeah, I do.
Right on.
And then so after that, and knowing that, you're right. People, and then see, society says you ought to be afraid. And if you're not, that means you're psychotic or you got a death wish. And no, I just know the God I serve is bigger than the fear that you have. So it is what it is. And I'm me. It is what it is, bro.
Right.
God I serve is bigger than your fear. So you be scared of that. I'm not. I'm not scared of snakes. I'm not. I have a respect for animals who don't come in my living room. I don't go in their living room.
Right.
And I don't want them coming in my living room.
Gotcha.
So I have a respect for it. I'm not scared of it. I have respect for it. Hey, you stay in your woods, I stay in my living room. Too easy.
Okay. Right on. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Looking back to the day you retired, to the day you left the military, what advice would you give your younger self about how society will treat you as a Christian veteran of color?
Ooh, I would definitely say maintain your faith.
Okay.
Maintain your faith. It's easy to be distracted. I was distracted. We all get that way. Nobody's perfect. We're not going to be. We strive for perfection, but we're saying every day, maintain your faith. Maintain your cool. I got out of the military. I was very angry. Very angry simply because what people were saying was hard in my eyes wasn't hard or difficult. I'm like, what are you complaining for? I was like, the boss and the job. I said, let me explain something to you. When something gets hard, let me tell you how something is hard. If you have to put this tire on this car, you got a flat tire, and you got to put the tire on, right? That might seem hard. I say, but if you're getting shot at while you have to put this tire on, then that's hard.
Right.
So this right here, this ain't hard. I was angry. I was an angry dude. I got my concealed carry permit, and I'm carrying my gun every day. And I got my ungrateful wretches of children doing what they do. And I got boys, I got like 5 boys and a girl. And I'm like, the knuckleheads. I'm like, really? So, and then I have one of my sons, I don't know, he wants to be gangster or something. I said, bro, I'm more of a gangster than you are. Cut it out. Cut it out. So, yeah, man, I would definitely tell myself that. Also, I've had an experience where I was going for my colonoscopy, and I have a cousin who's in the medical field, and he told me what to say to demand it. And I go to my doc, and they send me through all the tests, the blood test, the scrape, the stool sample test, and everything's come back good. And I was like, no, doc, you know as well as I do that African-American males present different than, and he didn't let me finish the sentence. He said, you're absolutely correct. Did the colonoscopy. They found a polyp, and I was like, it was all good. Come back a year later because once you get a colonoscopy, you have to come back a year later for a follow-up. They did another one, found another polyp, took that out. And then they had the audacity to tell me they'll see me in 7 years. I say, oh, the devil is a lie. You're going to see me next year. What are you talking about? It's 2 years in a row you found polyps. Why would I come back in 7 years? No, next year, I'll be back. October. I'll be right here. I'll be right up in there. But I believe that the doctors already know this information. So when one of us comes in front of them, that should be the key to not try to push the narrative. Oh, if all your tests come back, you're good. So I believe that was a situation.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that?
I think they are counting on the fact that we don't know. Knowledge is so important. Education is so important. And sometimes we have to be our own advocate. But I really believe the people of color, and I did more inquiries about it. They saying because African American males don't go to these tests, these trials. We don't volunteer. That's what he was saying. It's because we need more African American males to volunteer so we can have a better range, to go by. I said, but if y'all already know this and I come in here wanting it, why y'all? Is it because I'm black? I had to be blunt. But I really think it's just less work and more money. So, doctors, medicine today doesn't cure us. You have to really fight. I would tell myself too, keep praying, keep your faith, keep praying, keep your eyes open. Things have changed. Things have definitely changed from when you were first coming in. They teach you to keep your head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Have you ever experienced a challenge from either non-veterans, non-Christians, or people of color because of you being either specifically a Christian or a person of color or a veteran even? Have you ever experienced a challenge for any one of those reasons?
My colonoscopy one, that was one. Going to the VA, because I'm fully VA. I don't have an outside insurance. I have experienced that. Well, I automatically assumed that the people working at the VA were veterans.
Okay.
Or they were, veteran friendly. But I have, I have experienced more so than not the people either like jealous, or they act like it's their money for some reason. It's weird, and I'm like, what's going on? Because I was a person who was blessed to get 100% out the gate.
Okay.
First time go out the gate.
Okay.
And I did everything I was taught to do.
Okay.
And that's what happened. But I have definitely seen it happen, and they have attitudes, and you're like, hey, you chose this job. I didn't choose this job for you. The least you could do is be happy that you're at work. You're getting paid. Good gracious.
Right.
And then when I'm going through things, they just act like it's their money. They really do. This is not your money. Release it. Release the funds. Do something. That's been my biggest at the VA. The VA is really rough because they're old vets, or they're somebody who did a year and a half and got out or got put out, basically. And then when you come in and I've experienced difficulty to the point to where I had to contact the patient advocate and get them involved.
Okay.
And I'm like, ooh, but nothing as far as being a Christian. No, it's been more curiosity. I actually, from when we were together in the military, we some of the cats that we knew, we kind of forced ourselves out of profanity by playing the cuss word game. Whereas if you say a cuss word, everybody that's playing, they get to hit you anywhere below the neck until you say the key word in this cuss word. You have to say the word cuss word. So we had some really big muscle bound dudes. And the fear of getting hit in the arm or the chest, it really made us stop cussing. So that was not a Christian thing, but we saw that we needed to stop doing that. So people come around me, and people always say, I get it all the time. You're different. I come into a room, people just change. My family members, they stop cussing. They put their beer down, and I didn't know what that was. I was like, what is going on? When I walk into a room, people change and they say something about you. And I now I know what it is, but I didn't know what it was at first. But yeah.
Okay.
Don't change.
I think that's a blessing, man. I mean, even though it's irritating to go through.
I'm cool with it now. I mean, I know what it is. So now my circle is different, but I'm a person who can go in any circle. I can go anywhere, hang with the best of them, chill out, sports, church, I'm not changing. They change around me. So I know what that is. That's apparently I was told that was my light. I was like, hey, whatever.
Right on.
And then people apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not the pastor. What you doing? You ain't gotta apologize to me. Be you. Be you.
That's cool, man. I think it's a blessing in that, when you say that you've not had issues with specific to religion. That in and of itself is a blessing, because I can tell you I have.
Really?
And it has come from those who look like me the most. Given that I am a minister, when I became a minister, or on my way to becoming a minister, it just seemed like the hate came even harder. And that's how the enemy works. I get it.
That's exactly, I was about to say that.
Yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
But it's unfortunate that he uses those that he does. And some of the hate that I got both from people who've known me a while and haven't known me a while.
Right.
Right. Those who knew me a while, some are mostly everybody's surprised. That's the first thing. Let me just say, that's the first thing. You? Nah. That. And the further back we go, the more surprise it is. Let me just say that.
Yeah. When I tell people, I'm like, Rico, preaching, right? Cause like De Silva, minister,
right?
Yeah,
De Silva came to my initial sermon, man.
Yeah, he told me he did. He sure did. He told me. I just talked to him the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Them cats is them cats, boy. But
and it's funny because when I saw him there, first of all, it was during COVID, so we had masks on. Well, I was preaching, so I didn't have a mask on. He's down in the front, and he walked up, and I didn't mask. I didn't know who it was. People, after I was done, people were congratulating me, shaking my hand. That joker pulled that mask off, and I saw him. I was like, first of all, I'd already known he was a minister, but to see him in that, again, it was one of those light flash before your eyes moments. Like, as surprised as you might be about me, brother, let me tell you, I'm proud of you, but you talking about surprise.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You talking about surprise. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, brother. I feel you. I see you. I was so happy to see him, man. Yeah. So I can imagine the level of surprise that people are feeling. Not only surprise, but there's a twinge of confusion. Like, huh? Like, like for real? But anyway, so no, it's a blessing, man, if you've never experienced that. And I pray that you don't, because there are some, I'll say, just keep this in your back pocket. There are some very learned and intelligent sounding brothers out there that will say some things that will definitely make you question if you're on the right path. And if, like you said, you are not grounded in your faith, you are apt to go to the edge of that thing and you might fall over, because they are very intelligent sounding. But once you stick to your faith and you know the word, then it's easy. It's like, whatever. But anyway, that's just my soapbox thing. Okay, so what is the one thing that people get wrong about you the most?
That I am, I don't know what is soft or not tough, or I don't come across as a tough guy. I'm still over 225. I'm a big, I ain't no little dude no more. But I think that, to me, that was the thing. Everybody was like how that saying is, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. That's been the biggest thing that I had to experience, because I'm a jovial guy,
Right.
I ain't chest bumping people and stuff like that. But, you get my timing wrong, we might have to go take it to the grass. I'm like, but I'm not no more. I'm too old for that. I need bad knees.
Right.
But because I don't carry myself like the tough guy, that don't mean I can't defend myself and won't. But that's the thing. I've had in the military and out. Had a few people try, they always try. They try you and see what you made of and all that kind of stuff. But nothing ever came of it. But, just like, bruh, it's not going to go how you think. And that's all I have to say. Hey, it's not going to go how you think. Then
wow.
It gets rectified. So, and I had, as a matter of fact, it was one minister. And he was like, you better be glad I'm saved. I said, well, at this moment, I'm just as saved as you are, sir. So, whatever. And he backed down, but yeah, that's it. I'm not. I'm an open book, man. I'm an open book.
That's interesting, because it's interesting you say that. Again, when I think back 30 some odd years, one of the things I think about is that, we had a motley crew. I mean, there was people from all types of different backgrounds and whatnot. But then you had some, just like you do in any crew, man, any group, who wore their toughness on their shoulder, right? They, okay, that's probably somebody who you don't want to tussle with. Then there were some who, I don't know if you tough, but I know you crazy. So I don't want to, I ain't trying to go there with you either. But then what makes me think about this is, you've always been, you describe it as jovial. I think, again, you always had a light about you that made people gravitate towards you. But I recall a time, I don't know where we were. I don't know if we were back in the States, maybe still overseas, Saudi. I just remember that there was this phase that you guys were going through, and I say you guys because I certainly wasn't a part of this, but there was this weight room phase that y'all were. You remember that?
Yes,
you know
sir.
I mean? Like
that spilled over. It spilled over from Saudi. That spilled over from Saudi.
Okay, so that was, and I just remember there was this weight room phase, and Cass was walking around with these weight belts on, like you were. I couldn't tell if you were going to the gym, just came back from the lifting. So, but the point in all that is that you guys hit this phase where serious weights were being thrown around. It wasn't like y'all weren't playing with these things.
No, sir.
And some serious weights was being thrown around. And I was like, okay, I've never been a weight dude, but I ain't trying to lock up with none of these cats. Cause they,
yes, sir.
Y'all cats was like bench pressing like 2 and 3 of me, right? Like I was like, oh, okay, y'all got serious. I'm gonna let y'all have that.
We was ready.
Yeah,
we were ready. It was crazy. We were sick. We were angry. We were angry then. We was angry. We weren't just throwing weights around. We were throwing things around with gunpowder and hammers too. We had all of that. We was
no doubt.
We were angry, and we had lift weights like crazy at the end of Saudi.
Okay.
And we wanted to come back, and we was still trying to keep it going. That's basically what it was. I looked totally different from when I left to go to Saudi to when we came back. We was
no doubt. No doubt.
Was huge. We were huge. I came home, everybody was like, wow.
Yeah. You must have been in jail. Like
just got out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, bro, I remember that. And not only, the weight thing, but also some things y'all might have been carrying. And I remember that kind of being my introduction to carrying things. Right. I was like, oh, that's what we do. Oh, okay. So it was my introduction to that. I just remember you kind of almost be that way in them mean streets of Columbus.
Yeah.
Right? Because that was a wild place. I mean, at that time,
and they were prejudiced against soldiers.
Yeah.
Because they accused us of always taking their friends from them.
Right.
Taking their toys. And we was like, we can't take nothing that comes. But anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole, So
the other thing, remember we used to have the post sticker. You're supposed to have it on your car, and it had the month and the date.
Yeah.
We had to put those on metal plates.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You stick it in your windshield up at the dash of where the windshield meets. And then when you went to park somewhere, you had to flip that thing over because when the local yokels would know you were from base, they would damage your car. We had plenty of people that had that happen to you. I don't know if you knew that or not, but we all had to have a little metal plate. You put your sticker on it, and then you just flipped it over when you went on post. And when you went off post, you had to flip that thing over. It was crazy. At least where we used to hang out. How about that? We're gonna say that. We're gonna say that.
You had to put the decal on the metal plate.
Yes. When you went off post, you had to flip the plate over so nobody didn't know your car was from on post. It was crazy. Like I said, maybe that was just where we used to hang out at. I don't know, but we had to do it, or your car would get vandalized.
Wow.
Well, great.
First of all, y'all had some fancy cars. Like y'all
this
drove.
Is true.
I drove some fancy cars. I mean,
I had the BMW with all that music. The
7 Series joint. I'll never forget that, man. I was like, I'm putting around in my little Ford Escort. Y'all cats was punching those fancy cars. So, okay. Well, fun times though. Fun times.
Definitely.
So we're coming to the end of this. Is there anything you wish I would have asked? And if so, what do you wish I would have asked and how would you answer it?
I guess how was your transition out of the military? Mentally, spiritually, what did you go through and how did you come on the other side? And for me personally, the military's changed their role. So I've been out for 7 years now. So about 9 years ago, the military changed their role and started getting to behavioral health, starting to really focus on it.
Okay.
Because of people coming back, PTSD or whatever. They weren't calling it that, but and stuff like that. So right before you get out now, you have to go see a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Or a psychologist. And they and the chaplain, and they explain to you, these are some of the things that you're going to be experiencing and some coping mechanisms. And then when you get out, you have to go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist for a couple of sessions when you get out. So they want to ensure that your transition was smooth. And hey, once again, these are some of the things that you're going to be experiencing on out here with, the civilian world. So I was so thankful that I had that training, because when I was experiencing it, I knew what it was. I can't even imagine going through that and not knowing what it was. Because, like I said, I was really angry for people who were complaining about stuff they shouldn't be complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
And then your family dynamics changes. I was working 18-hour days sometimes, and then mom is the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get out. Now you come in like Godzilla in the city, kicking over stuff.
Right.
And they're like, hey, you can't do that. So I had the training to come out. Now, I don't know if people, now it's an option too, to do the training.
Mm-hmm.
And some people just want to get out. Don't want to, you can just sign off on stuff when you're a certain rank. When you're officer or senior enlisted, you can just sign stuff off. And I ain't going through that.
Right.
But I'm so glad I did that, because it really helped me transition. So I'm currently, they switched to call it the whole health coach.
Okay.
So it's a Zoom once a month. The VA pulled back in a lot of their stuff that they were sending people out for. Acupuncture, chiropractor. They pulled it all back into the VA. They put this whole health coach. So you go to one person and he can help you with anything mental or physical or, like that. So that's really helps too. Talking in groups, and stuff like that. But yeah, that definitely, you can ask that question. And then getting back with the church, for me, finding a church, should I say,
Mm-hmm.
and I have, and that has definitely helped. Definitely helped.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I wish that was around when I got out.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just took so long for them to do it. I'm glad they're doing it, but it just took them so long to understand that, hey, this is a need. What is this I'm going through?
Right.
Not military's telling you what to do, where to go, where to be, all that. Then you get out and you're left to your own devices. Some people can't handle it. They go back in. I equate it to the same thing of what people get out of prison. You've been institutionalized. I literally was institutionalized.
Right.
But and then you get out, now you get all this free time and people complain and they can talk back to you. You're like, oh, wait a minute. You can't take somebody 20-something years and nobody can't. You can't even bat your eyes, suck your teeth, and now you get out here and you got some little whippersnapper,
right?
Talking trash. You like, oh,
right,
hey,
right.
It's different.
No, that is a valid point, and the point you make about having to deal with it on your own, and you got to figure, man, I got out a long time ago.
Yeah,
I was one of those do your 4 and I did more than 4, but right around that time I got out, not knowing stuff. And not knowing why certain things were impacted. Actually, I thought it was normal. Let me just put it that way. I thought everybody thought like this. I thought everybody.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me not everybody checks the doors at night? Y'all don't do that? Y'all don't go around and check the doors and all of that? Y'all don't do stand 2 in the morning? Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
not
all of that.
Not sitting with your back to the door in a restaurant.
All of that.
Yeah,
I thought that was just normal, man. But, so it's good. And I think another thing that I think the VA or the Army or the military period recognize, but I don't think there's anything they can do about is, unfortunately, there's more demand than there is supply. And they are continuously manufacturing more need, right? I mean, with every deployment and conflict around the world, there are more and more people that they are creating that need VA services.
Right.
But the VA services are overwhelmed, but you just keep dumping more and more people that need it, and you're making them every day, right? You're constantly making more. Yep. And I'm talking about from the day you put people in basic training, you just made a couple.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like, there's this endless cycle. And like I said, I think they're aware of it, but unfortunately, they make it so difficult, given the fact that you created these individuals with these issues. Why you make it so hard for them to, You get compensated for, you know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
but
it's been a struggle.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Teachers and military, we should be the highest paid people in the country. Teachers and military.
Well, and you, you know, it's so good to hear that you were able to get yours out the gate.
Yes,
but it took me years,
right,
to get there.
And with our groups and everything, we're helping. Definitely, that's a pet. I mean, one of my pet projects. Hey, get your health in check. And why aren't you 100%? What's going on?
Right.
Because we got cats that we know didn't even file until a year ago.
Right.
And they was like, oh, I didn't know I could. And like, wow. Because when y'all got out, they weren't doing nothing like they're doing when I got out.
Absolutely not.
And it's sad. And it's sad. It was offered, but it was on a piece of paper, and you had to check a box. It was really small writing.
Right.
Because I re-enlisted, but I didn't tell them I did it. So I went through the transition process at Fort Benning. So I just wanted to see, and I just wanted to get out of work. So,
okay.
So I went through all that stuff, and sure enough, in these small little boxes, you had to check if you wanted more information.
Oh wow!
And if you didn't check that box, they didn't contact you. But now you have to go through all of this stuff. It's 2 weeks of classes, resume, how to dress for a job, and all that stuff, and psychological stuff, and how to do your budget when you get out. You ain't gonna have BAH no more and BAQ. You ain't gonna have all that. So they're doing a far better job now with transitioning soldiers. But they need to build more VAs. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They need it.
You're absolutely right, man. I could go on for days about that. But so we're at the end. Last thing I want to ask you is just your thought on some current events, and the one that's really big right now is this ban on TikTok. Just gonna toss that out there. What are your thoughts on that?
It's scary. Everybody, they're thinking that the Chinese are using TikTok to spy on us. It hits home with me because I have a niece who is a super influencer. She has multiple double-digit million followers.
Okay.
So when you get that high, you can command $5,000 to $10,000 per gig. So, like a dentist in Miami wanted her to do like a commercial about his dentistry.
Okay.
5 Gs, just like that. And she commands that now. She's done so much stuff, and when they take that from her or whatever they're going to do, I'm afraid for her. Because now society is raising us children to an influencer is a job. That's not no job, because it can go just like that. The internet shut off tomorrow. Right. You don't have no job. She, like I said, she's considered a super influencer, and TikTok is just one of her things. And I think it's sad. I saw a documentary on TikTok in China. They highlight education and those kids doing stuff for the community, and if you are doing something for the country and science and all that STEM stuff. And over here they highlight the stupid stuff. Right. And it's crazy. It is sad, and I think it's sad that they let it get this far, and now they're gonna pull the plug. And there's some people that's their livelihood, TikToking. That's their livelihood.
I'd say this, man. My thoughts on it are compound. One, on the one hand, I think that China is smart. They playing the long game, right? If they can win over the hearts and minds of the younger generation, then in a couple of generations, they're not gonna have to worry about this place anymore.
Correct.
Right? That's the long game. They're smart in doing that. However, so from that perspective, I get it. I see why you want to ban it. However, to me, it's kind of hypocritical to want to ban TikTok because TikTok is nothing more than a tool. And you want to ban the tool when it comes to social media, but you want to fight tooth and nail when it comes to assault weapons, right? Right? Because one will kill you now, one will kill you later. Right? Depending on how the tool is used. And so you're focusing on the tool and not focusing on the bigger issue. Like, what is it that makes the person want to use that tool in that way? And
exactly
focus on that. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not this to a gun rights nut. I'm not none of that. I'm just simply I'm speaking logically, right? I don't have an emotional.
Making a lot of sense. You're making a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't have an emotional tie either way. I got a couple things, and if somebody said they're banned, I might be like, all right, whatever. I'm not pressed about it. I just want my money back, right? Spend a little change on it, but I'm not like pride from my, I'm not all of that pride from my cold dead hands and all that. I'm not that dude. But at the same time, you want to take it, and I'm responsible with it. So that's kind of, why don't you focus on what makes people irresponsible with certain things?
There you go.
And you mentioned that your niece is a super influencer, and I think that's cool. I think that the thing is, it's supply and demand. There's obviously a demand for what she supplies, right? To the tune of multiple million of people who want it. Now, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know if it's good or bad. I just know that it is what it is, and she found a way to make it.
Yep. Now, one good thing about her is her parents, she graduated college. So that's one good thing. And if all parents are ensuring that their kids finish school or get something that if this don't work, they got something to fall back on, do it. I also believe they should make China change the algorithm to what they use in China. So then that would take all that stupid stuff off of TikTok, and they would only support the same stuff over there.
People will be so mad. Where's my stupidity? Where's my ratchetness?
They'll just find another something else. Yeah.
Where's my ratchetness? You gonna show me all this science? Whatever, man, at that thing. But no, I get it. I hear what you're saying.
But that's a way to make it dwindle down in popularity too. Say, hey, y'all change your algorithm to what you have it in China. And let's start highlighting some of these kids who are, let's highlight education. Let's highlight, their brain instead of their butts,
Well, you got to keep in mind though, with China and the things they highlight, it's more than just simply highlighting the positive. They're also taking away free speech. So from that perspective, that would make us no better than them in terms of our free society to be able to say and do, certain things without.
No, you could still be able to say that. They just wouldn't make it part of the algorithm to pop up on your TikTok when you first pop open. That's all. They wouldn't have to change. It wouldn't be what's popular and what people are getting paid for.
Oh, I get it.
She was doing some stuff that me and her father was like, yeah, I had to take her off. I was like, well, I can't watch this. Ooh, not my niece, ooh, no.
Right. And I guess what I'm saying is that, yeah, they could change the algorithm, but when you get to the point where you're banning free speech and you're telling somebody, it's no different than what's the book bans, right? You can't have certain books in libraries. Once you get to that point, that's a whole. And
unfortunately, we're that way in Florida down here. Good gracious,
man.
I can't even apologize enough. You from Florida? I just shake my head. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We gonna hope we gonna get out here and vote.
Yeah.
Good,
y'all don't do Black History Month, do you?
Yeah. We got a little sprinkling.
Y'all celebrate that? All of that.
We got a little. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
So, I feel you, man. And more power to you, brother. Bless you. You live down there and you make it.
We trying, but we sticking our flag, like with a light at the top, in a dark place. But yeah, we trying it.
No, but that's a prime example of what I'm saying about supply and demand. In other words, there's enough of you guys. I say you guys. Let me just clarify about what I mean. There are enough level-headed people, I think, in Florida who, if they would only get involved,
that's it.
Would be able to shift the narrative and take better control, or at least inject themselves to the extent that the state government would be more balanced than it is.
Right.
I just think that there's just not enough level-headed people getting involved in the process.
Right. They've convinced people that their vote doesn't matter.
Right.
And I have to tell people all the time, if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't work so hard at stopping you from voting.
Yeah, there you go.
It means it matters. And if you don't vote, you do vote.
Yeah.
And you can't have a conversation with me about politics if you haven't voted. So that's the first question I ask. Hey, did you vote? Okay, we'll keep it moving. Let's talk about sports or something else. But if you ain't vote, what we talking about?
And because there's not enough people involved, as a result,
yep,
we up here in Atlanta, we clown y'all.
yes. And the clowning commences. Yeah.
Oh wow. Listen, man, I thoroughly enjoyed this, man. You gotta come back, man. You gotta
most definitely.
gotta do this. Yeah, I just to put it out here, I'm gonna be doing a series, some folks that are not so much question based, but just sort of a hangout, chop it up session.
Okay. Cool.
Where you can just come out and just talk and sometimes we can even do round tables. So if you want to get some of the other fellas from back in the day that might want to join in, and we just chop it up, some ground rules. The ground rules.
Definitely.
Some ground rules in place.
Some of them gonna have to be told a bunch.
Yeah, we're not gonna incriminate.
Some of them cats were police officers, and you like, really?
Yeah. That's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother. So we're gonna be doing that in the near future. So just keep that in mind. But I would love to have you back, man.
Anytime, bro. Anytime.
They're very enlightening. But I really appreciate you. So before we bounce, is there anything on your mind? Anything you want to close with? Anything you want to say? Questions, concerns, comments?
Man, for the listeners, wow, this has been an amazing opportunity. I'm so glad we connecting. I guess, stay prayed up. Tomorrow is not promised. People are leaving here every day. Stay prayed up. Get closer to God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's it. That's what I'm gonna leave with right there.
Okay. Well, right on, man. Thank you again so much. And with that said, we'll go ahead and close out. May God keep you. May God bless you. And may God continue to be with you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
You too, bro.